Today is August 10th, 2018, and I have exciting news to share. Pretty much to give you a little backstory is Hannah and I, after moving from Toronto to Nova Scotia, her parents graciously offered us to stay in their farmhouse, which was vacant at the time, which they used to rent, but it wasn't occupied. And they offered us to stay there temporarily to kind of gain our footing once we moved to Nova Scotia, because that's where Hannah was raised and where her whole family is. From there, kind of the life of the renovations kind of took off, and before we knew it, we were kind of in like an unspoken agreement with Hannah's parents that we're kind of staying in the house rent free, and in return we're kind of covering the renos, and we're doing the renos. So it's been working so far, but the thing is, when I was doing all these renos, I had to kind of tell myself right from the get-go is that I have to be prepared to walk away from everything I've done. You know, which could be tough for some people when you put a lot of effort and work and love into something, and just to be able to walk away from it. So I accepted that fact, but then the more I got into the renos, and now we're quite a bit away, we're like 60% done the house and a year and a half into it, it got me thinking, like, what really is the future of the channel and the house, because obviously it's a finite thing. There's only one of the farmhouses, and there's a certain point where you could take it, and then the house is done, it's completed. What more can you really do? There's a finish line. So when I was thinking about that, is like, what really is the future of the channel, and what am I really pursuing, or what's my final goal? And I didn't really have one, because it was kind of all up in the air, and it was kind of giving me this anxious feeling, is like, what's the purpose? I know this may be over dramatic, but it's what I was feeling. So from there, I was in kind of this tough spot of like, where's the motivation coming from? So, and then one day I was just walking with Wally around the property, and I go into this barn, and I'm just thinking away, and it's this huge barn. Guys, I haven't showed you the barns yet, but maybe I will. And it got me thinking, is the house from the house is an easy progression to the barn, but what is the barn? What's the function of the barn? And everything kind of feeds into making the barn a venue of any sort, a wedding venue, or just like a space that you could host multiple arrangements or what have you. So, and it got me really excited again, because from the venue it could feed off into multiple other businesses and opportunities. It's very scalable, and with my YouTube, it just feeds into the venue idea as well, because it's pretty much unlimited content, extremely interesting new kind of restorations and ideas that could birth from it. So I'm excited on the design and building aspect, and then it's a seamless transition from the house to the barn, and again in regards to the YouTube, and all my videos, which are getting quite a bit of engagement, could ultimately be looked at as a commercial or marketing expense if everything is feeding into this main business, which would be a venue. So that gets me excited again, is because everything will just work cohesively together into something that I think will be very lucrative and successful. So I will go into all the details very soon and take you guys for a tour. But before then, I just wanted to share the idea with you. I promise you it makes a lot of sense. And why I wanted to tell you, what I wanted to tell you was, I had this idea, and it got me really excited, but again, it's only hypothetical. It was like, how could it not be a hypothetical idea? Well, I need to have a serious discussion with Hannah's parents, because they're the one who owns the farm, and the barn is used with all their tractor equipment and like hay storage. It's actually a functional barn, for the farm. And so how is that all gonna work? So why I'm so excited and why I wanted to jump on here to talk to you guys is because Hannah's dad was just was haying, and he was complaining to me he was just complaining to me about the hay, and it was like this seamless transition, conversational, that I could kind of pitch in my idea. I was like, well, I had this idea I'd love to tell you, and I go into my little spiel, and it was kind of like an introduction idea, and he was very, very receptive to it. So that was wonderful. And then most recently is probably a month or two after our first talk. Most recently, this was now the other day, Hannah's dad is again rolling around in the tractor, and I'm outside, and we're again just talking, and the idea about the barn comes up again naturally. I'm not exactly sure, I can't remember how it happened this time, but we get in talking, and I was like, well, if you have a little more time, I'd love to go take you through a walkthrough of the barn and really help you visualize of what I envision for the space and the property and what it could be and the potential. And he's like, sure. And we end up going through like that walkthrough, and we start discussing like the nitty gritty. And again, he's extremely receptive. He's just nodding. He loves the idea, and he understands the transformations of farms and properties through time, and the evolution of things. So and he has a very rational business sense mind too, so he could see the opportunity. So he says he's all in, and that kind of gave me such clarity and gave me like what I did was kind of go up to the door and knock on it, and what Paul did, Hannah's dad, is just kind of open up those big freaking castle doors just a little bit so I could poke my head in. And now to get through the doors and knock it down, I have to go through the nitty gritty and actually all the work to figure this out. So hopefully it's gonna be happening all behind the scenes, but to really get the business established, hopefully it's my 3-year plan. So see you then.